people, and welcome to the show. It is the inauguration day. It is the day that Joe Biden became president of the United States, and Kamala Harris broke that glass ceiling and became the first woman vice president of the United States of America. So yes, I am delighted and over the moon, and I have lots to talk about today. I was up all night cooking because we had a little gathering, socially distant. It was outside. We watched the inaugural events on TV outside, and people came over and got a little gumbo. I made a red velvet cake. Sadly, the red velvet cake was a little too dry. I think I overbaked it a little bit. If I was on the Great British Baking Show, they would tell me my flavors were spot on, but the bake was not quite right. I'm working on it. It's getting better, but that took up my night last night. But I got up early and I was so energized. Of course, I was one of those people who was tossing and turning all night, full of energy, excitement, worry. A worry that I will wake up in the morning and some disaster had occurred. But such is not the case. Everything went off without a hitch, and I am so pleased about it. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but I am delighted to have you along. And so the section number one I want to talk about is that the first thing that occurred to me this morning as I was watching all of that which was going on is that what we were watching was the ceremony, the pomp and circumstance around the peaceful transition of power based on the will of the people. That is what the Constitution was designed to enshrine. If there is any concept in the Constitution that is sacred, it is that this nation is governed at the pleasure of the people. The people we grant power to are obligated to relinquish that power peacefully when we choose to hand that power to someone else. And that is our tradition. That is what the Constitution was all about. And that is what those of us who have taken the oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that is the concept that we swear to our allegiance to, not to one person and certainly not to one party, but to that concept. And this time, it was sweeter than ever, because this time, it wasn't rote. It wasn't a foregone conclusion. The events of 2 weeks ago made this day in such turmoil and precarious position. And we really literally came 60 or 90 minutes away. No, I stand corrected. 60 or 90 seconds away from not having today. Right? Because if Vice President Pence had been assassinated 2 weeks ago, as the intention was, if Nancy Pelosi was captured, tortured, or killed, if they had stormed and taken hostage of members of Congress, would we be having this peaceful transition of power today? Probably not. In the end, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would have been president anyway, but we would have gone through a whole lot of agony and excruciating pain before that would happen. Not that we didn't go through a whole lot of agony and excruciating pain between November and 2 weeks ago. So, this is the first inauguration in my lifetime where I became so cognizant. I paid so much attention to all of the components of the ceremony, of what they were designed to show. And I think it's important that we understand ceremony. I am I was confirmed Catholic, and the Catholic Church, maybe more so than many others, has a veneration of ceremony, of symbolism in human actions. Catholics, we genuflect, right? Because that is a symbol. It is a physical manifestation of an inward thought or intention, right? And that's why we do it. We pray and we get on our knees as a sign that we are humbling ourselves. We do these signs to remind ourselves to do something in our physical being that manifests an emotional intention. And that is what an inaugural celebration and ceremony is all about. Who is there is important. Where they're seated is important. The sequence of events is important. The timing is important. The decorum is important. The ceremonial guard is important. All of these sort of manifestations of our traditions tell us about our history, reinforce our commitment to these principles. They are the physical manifestation of the power that is imbued and given to those who take the oath of office, that they take this as a solemn obligation, and that it is in that ceremony that the power that the people gave them is actually invested in them in that moment. It is a special and important moment. We mark it in time. It's in a stopwatch. 11:59, you're not president. 12:01, you are, because it is in that moment that you take mantle of the power that the people have given you. And every president has respected and honored that tradition. Every single one, even really disappointed ones, have done so. Not because they want to, but because that is their obligation as stewards of the promise of the Constitution. The Constitution dies when people no longer agree to hold it up. So every president has agreed to play their part in these important ceremonies that mark the tradition and venerate this component of what makes America America, right? Every single one, except one. The one president, the one person who held that title and was never worthy of it and never proved it more profoundly than today, is the person who believed that the presidency and the power given to him by the people was a property he owned. And that if he couldn't have it his way, he didn't want to participate at all. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad he wasn't there, because he is battery acid. He corrodes every space he enters. So did I want him there? No, I did not. But nevertheless, history will mark the absence of the outgoing person who held the presidency. The petulant, classless, tacky, and unconstitutional, self-absorbed petulance of the guy who did everything he could to break our democracy and failed. He asked our enemies to help him. He warped an entire political party to take upon itself as a philosophy the suppression of the votes of people they did not like. He broke our U.S. Postal Service, forced people to vote in person in a pandemic when doing so would risk their lives. And when he didn't get the outcome he wanted, he picked up the phone and started calling secretaries of state and extorting them and pressuring them to change election outcomes. And when that didn't work, he created a mob and inspired them to storm the Capitol after 56 or 60 cases that he filed, winning not a single one of them. He didn't believe in democracy when he became president of the United States. And he used the office to his own personal gain from day one. And he continued to be self-absorbed and disinterested with the well-being of the United States of America till his last moment as president of the United States. What happened today was not a transfer from him to the incoming president. What happened today was a transfer from the people to the incoming president. And it is in this time that we must always remember how close we came to that not happening. Joe Biden didn't just get inaugurated today. Democracy was saved, venerated, celebrated, and continued today for us, for our children and our progeny. And so today is not inauguration day for me. I call it Democracy Day. And I will celebrate January 20th for the rest of my life. Every January, until I am dead, I will celebrate the 20th day as the day that we saved democracy. And I will make great food, and I will have my little happy dance, and I will celebrate. Because today we didn't just inaugurate a president. Today we saved our democracy. If you like what you just heard, you can find out so much more and hear so much more on my Patreon channel, patreon.com/Pam Keith FL. That's where you hear the rest of this discussion, and there's lots more to share.